Hello everyone, Hodgepodge Mama here. I am doing my homeschooling video finally. It's one of the ways that we parent differently. Our daughter is 2, so I kept putting off doing this video because I kept thinking we're not really homeschooling yet because she's not school aged. But we've already started to get comments from people, um, such as she's so bright, she's so smart. You should go ahead and send her to preschool, as if that would help her be smarter. I mean, if she's already showing signs of learning things and picking up on things and being a bright, inquisitive mind, why mess with what's already working, which is not having her in school? Just a thought. And then another reason that I'm given is, well, she's so attached to you. She could really benefit from being around other kids in a preschool. I'm thinking she's 2. She's supposed to be attached to her parents. Sorry, but I think one of the problems that people have later on with their teenagers is that they are not properly attached. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my work now, and obviously we will see if it pans out, but the research shows if you establish a strong relationship, strong attachment with your children, then the teenage years are not some sort of um, chaos that every parent must go through. I'm not dreading those years at all. Um, so since I'm already getting those comments, pushing to send her to preschool when she's only 2, and she's 2 now. I've been hearing these comments for months, months and months. So I decided to go ahead and do this video and discuss why I'm even interested in homeschooling. My husband obviously is 100% on board as well. So let's get to it. First of all, I want to say that I don't think homeschooling is for everybody, okay? It takes a certain kind of family setup, certain family values, certain characteristics of the parents and the children that would make homeschooling work. That's my opinion. I mean, I think some people claim that everybody could homeschool. I don't think that everybody should. Okay. No, I just think that it's a very good option for us in our particular circumstances. Okay. First of all, I think some parents just don't have the patience or the organizational skills, the resources, or just the interest in teaching. Not everybody's a teacher type of person. And I'm not saying that you have to be a stay-at-home parent. There are families where both parents work, or single parent households where the children are homeschooled anyway. One of the reasons that's feasible is because it doesn't take 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week to homeschool. And I'll get to the reasons why in a second. Homeschooling is something that can be done in the evenings, on the weekends. You can run your homeschool year-round over the summer. There's a lot of flexibility with homeschooling. So I don't think it's just because I'm staying home with her, therefore I get to homeschool her. There's, like I said, there's people who work outside the home who can homeschool as well. But even if you are staying home with your child, doesn't mean that you're necessarily cut out for homeschooling. Not everybody has that interest. And if you're not interested in personally being responsible for organizing your child's education, then you shouldn't be, because, that would be detrimental to the child, I think. Also, some children just thrive in more social, more, shall we say, chaotic environments, which I do think the school system, specifically the school system I'm familiar with, which is the public school system, I think is chaotic. But I do think there are some kids who benefit from that for whatever reason. So why take that away from them? Also, I think some children with certain special needs, unfortunately, kind of have to go to public school in order to receive the additional resources that are provided through the public school system that may not be available to the family unless the child is enrolled in public school. So, like I said, for those various reasons, I do not look down at all on anybody who does not homeschool. It's not about that at all. Having said that, I would appreciate the same kind of respect in looking at homeschooling as a valid educational choice that we're making for our daughter. So finally, I am a teacher at heart. I taught for over a decade. I taught adults, granted. Don't tend to like teaching other people's children, and I think one of the reasons is because I really feel like that's a huge responsibility, and I don't envy the school teachers that have to deal with that, not at all. Um, but I want to teach, and I want to be spending all this time with my daughter. So it was a logical conclusion that I want to be teaching my daughter. Okay. Um, okay. What I hope to avoid by keeping her out of public school, like I said, I technically spent a little bit of time in private school back in Poland, but that was another country, a whole different setup, so I can't really compare, what's available here to my experience there. But most of my schooling was in public school. And so, yeah, I have firsthand knowledge of what that is like, and I also have access to the media, and so I hear how it's been getting progressively worse and worse and worse and worse over the years since I've graduated. So, first thing that comes to mind, sadly, is that I want to avoid exposing my daughter to bullying and outright violence. Okay, I feel like school shootings is something that started to become more and more common after my graduation, after I graduated from high school, almost immediately after I graduated. But even before that, there was plenty of bullying I experienced personally, and that alone is devastating to a person, depending on, especially if you have a sensitive child, which I was. And there's just, logistically speaking, not enough adults in a school environment to keep track of every individual child's, emotional needs being met. So there were no teachers that were aware of me getting bullied. Nobody stepped in. Nobody, I mean, this is not about my experience with bullying. I'm just saying that is just something that's a big problem, and that best thing is to avoid it altogether. And it starts at very young ages, right? Early grades. And obviously I mentioned school shootings. That is just absolutely unacceptable. And I kind of feel like it, with everything being talked about in politics, about constantly revamping the educational system and blah, 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 I completely tune out, because honestly, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. For me, the only option is to take responsibility for my daughter's education personally, and not send her somewhere and pray all day that she doesn't get shot. Okay, on the way there, or during class, or recess, or lunch, or on the way home, or at the bus stop. That's outrageous. That is not something any parent should have to think about. And I'm not going to. I'm not going to think about it. If there's anything that I can do to prevent my daughter from getting hurt, I will do it. Okay. So anyway, like I said, that's something that is just very first on my list. Not the only reason. Also, peer pressure to look a certain way, to behave in ways that are incongruent with our family values, and to prioritize the wrong things. Maybe not necessarily bad things, but just things that shouldn't be prioritized above other things. So just quick examples to look a certain way. My experience has been that there was incredible pressure to look, as a girl, to look provocative. So to dress sexy. You're supposed to be going to school to learn. Okay, it's not a fashion show. And honestly, I'm laughing because there's a line in the Fresh Prince has a song, right, where the mom says, "You go to school to learn, not for a fashion show." And I'm sorry, I agree with the lady, okay? But definitely that is something that's at the top of everybody's mind. And once you get to a certain age, you have to have the right hair, the right makeup, the right clothes. I mean, it was to a point where kids were not wearing their glasses because of what it would make them look like, and so they couldn't see, and so their grades. I mean, it's just, why are we in school, right? We're supposed to be in school to learn, not supposed to be the primary reason. And if kids are not going to school to learn, then what's the point? What's the point? But also sloppy. Even if you're not gonna try to dress sexy, I feel like a lot of kids dress just kind of like to show I don't care. Like that's supposed to be a value that's I don't know, that's accepted by adolescents, that you have to have an air of nonchalance about everything. I don't care what I look like. I don't care what my parents think about what I look like, just whatever. There's no pride in um, your appearance. Okay. I'm not going to go into details because that's opening up a whole can of worms. Um, but yeah, look a certain way, peer pressure, to behave in ways that aren't congruent, clicks everywhere. If you went through public school and you are not aware of the problem of cliques and the peer pressure and the bullying, then you have to have your head in your butt. Sorry, I don't need to explain the problems with that. Also, prioritizing the wrong thing. So this, again, personal experience, popularity, boyfriends. That was on my mind for years. Not my grades, not how do I get better in math or science, or how do I become a better writer, or how do I, hello, start thinking about college. No, no, it was year after year after year. It was, how can I get in with the in crowd? How can I be a little more popular? Or how can I get the right kind of boyfriend so that people can look at me and accept me? It was all about acceptance. It was sad. Not a lot of time left for actual education. Okay, so peer pressure. The third thing that I want to avoid by educating my daughter at home is wasted time. Is wasted time. It's just practicality. Getting to school, coming back from school, getting from one class to another class. Even inside the class, every time you change classes, what happens the first few minutes? The teacher takes roll, right? Maybe collects homework. There's always some downtime when the teacher has to make his or her rounds and help individual students. There's a lot of just kind of sitting on your bum and twiddling thumbs. That time could be spent doing productive things or just enjoying life. So it's a lot of wasted time. And also a lot of, just on a larger scale, there's a lot of repetition of the content from year to year because you have that whole entire summer off, so kids forget. And so it's kind of built in. The first few months of every school year, guess what? It's just review of what the kids learned the previous year, instead of moving right along to the next advanced stage. So a lot of wasted time. So I want to avoid three things: bullying, peer pressure, and wasted time. And I can accomplish that by home educating my daughter. Next, as far as what I hope to accomplish, right? Because it's not just what I hope to avoid, but what I hope to accomplish. And actually, looking at the time, I think that will have to be in part 2. So we'll see you in part 2. Thanks.